Hey there, welcome to this week's Insightly tips. This week we're going to be looking at how to connect Insightly to Mailchimp. I know a lot of you have been asking about this, so let's jump in and get started. So typical scenarios that we'll see with Mailchimp and Insightly is firstly, people want to know how to connect the two. Secondly, people want to know how to get contacts from Insightly into Mailchimp. And thirdly, people want to know how to get contacts from Mailchimp back into Insightly. So we'll be covering all of this in this video. It's a little bit longer than usual, but let's see how we can get started. So to connect Mailchimp to Insightly, we need to jump into Mailchimp and create what we call an API key. So the way we do that is to go to your account section of your Mailchimp and then click on this extras drop down, and then we go to what we call API keys. So the API key is the thing that connects everything together. You then scroll to the bottom and you click on this create a key, and Mailchimp will go off and create an API key for you. And all we're doing is we are selecting this whole thing here, and we then copy and paste this API key back into Insightly. So the way we do that is to click on your system settings, and then in the system settings, scroll all the way down the bottom on the left hand side here and click on this integration list. So you'll see there's some standard integrations that we can hook into Insightly. The one we want is Mailchimp. So click on Mailchimp and we paste this API key into this field here and click install. So it'll take a second or two, and then once it does its refresh, it says Mailchimp and Insightly are connected. So that's great. So whilst we're on this screen, we can look at something where you can schedule an import of people from Mailchimp back into Insightly. So if you're familiar with Mailchimp, you'll notice that Mailchimp is broken up into a whole set of different lists where you've got people's names, people's email addresses, possibly their phone numbers, and people normally are emailing people off those lists. So what we want to do is set up an import. You may have a main list within Mailchimp, and what we want to do is import that main list back into Insightly. So we click on Edit Scheduled Import, and a new screen will pop up. And what we want to do is say, look, are they those imported users for contacts from Mailchimp? Do we want them to go to a contact, or do we want them to go to a lead? And then how often do we want to import them? So it could be just monthly, could be weekly, only on weekdays, a date that you want to stop doing it. And the next important one is the list that you want to import them from. So you can have all your different Mailchimp lists. As I said, you may have a master list that you add people to within Mailchimp. And the last thing we're doing is we're mapping fields across. So in Mailchimp, it's first name. In Insightly, it's contact first name. So you can pick any field that you want, and when it imports the information from Mailchimp, it'll map those fields across to the appropriate fields in Insightly. Really important, especially if you have custom fields in Insightly. So that's how that's set up. We then scroll back to the top and click on Save Mailchimp Import Schedule, and then so mine's set up to do that once a month. So once a month it'll import all the people from Mailchimp into Insightly. So that covers that one. The last one that we want to look at is the contacts. So how do we get the contacts from Insightly back into Mailchimp? So typically what might happen is that we have a newsletter that goes out once a month to all our contacts. And what we want to make sure is that in the last, say since our last newsletter went out, say on the 1st of October, we want to make sure all the new users, new contacts in Insightly get pushed into Mailchimp so they get included in that newsletter as well. So a good way to do that is to click on your contacts. We would normally, for a lot of our clients, set up a custom view, custom list view, where you've got all your new contacts, so whether it be this week, this month, whatever period you want to set it up as. and this just has a filter to say, you know, who's new in the last month or the last week. Okay, once we've got a list of people that we want to then push into Mailchimp, it's a matter of clicking the top one here where it selects all of your contacts, going to the More drop down, and then selecting this Export to Mailchimp. So it goes off. You select the list that you want to import them into. So once again, that could be your master list. You can then map the fields back to Mailchimp, so especially if you've got custom fields that you want to include in Mailchimp. And we click this Export to Mailchimp, and lo and behold, those contacts will now be imported into Mailchimp. Okay, so I've just jumped into the Mailchimp list where those contacts have been imported into, and what I'll see is those new people that we just added in that list. So I'll just extend the view and we'll be able to see all those new people there, the Mailchimp test people, and Jesse Jones will be in there as well. So there's Jesse Jones's and Stan Claus and Rudolph. So really hope that helps. There's a few more topics that we could cover with the Insightly and Mailchimp. There's another feature which we'll put in another video where you can check who's seen what campaigns within Mailchimp and how active they've been. We'll do a separate video on that. But as always, please ask your questions on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get your weekly Insightly tips. And we will see you in the next post. Have a great day.